Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bible in 1 year with a preacher's husband. Today we are starting a new adventure. That new adventure is going to review a lot of old adventures, and we are getting into the book of Deuteronomy, which is the study of dudes, right? Nah, not really. Actually, Deuteronomy means the second law. So in the original Hebrew, it actually means the second law. So it's more of laws, and more laws, of course. So now that we've got that out of the way, and it's not the study of the dude Moses, right? It kind of is, but it's more of the second law is what it's called. Now Deuteronomy consists of Moses' 4 farewell messages. And these were messages that were written to a new generation of Israelites. The setting here in this book is 40 years after the Exodus from Egypt. Now, Israel is poised to enter the Promised Land from here. And in these farewell messages, Moses pleads passionately with his people to keep God at the center of their national life once they begin to take possession of the land. Now, Moses' first address, in chapters 1 through 4 roughly, he recounts Israel's journey in the wilderness. So we're going to be doing a lot of reviewing of what's happened up until now. And he stresses the need for obedience to God and the reasons why, to avoid those punishments for one, but also the rewards that are ahead. The second address that we'll get to from chapter 4 through chapter 28, we're going to be a long time on that one. That was a long address. Moses taught a lot of lessons from the law, thus the book Deuteronomy, the second law. Bunch of lessons from it. His third address focused on a covenant renewal and blessings and curses. And that's going to be chapters 29 through 30. And then chapters 31 on is his final address, which was his farewell message. So let's get into it, into Deuteronomy. Essentially, chapter 1, there's an introduction here, and it begins off with a reference to Moses being across the Jordan. Now that's from the perspective of one standing in Canaan to the west. The east side of the river was called Transjordan, even by those that were living there. So here we are, 40 years after the Exodus, and Moses begins to review what has happened so far. He talks about the departure from Horeb. Then he talks about leaders for the tribes. Remember when he was delegating authority out because he said he couldn't do it all by himself. I can't do this all on my own, guys. Y'all going to have to pitch in and do it a little bit too. That's what they're talking about here. Then we get into Israel's disobedience at Kadesh Barnea. You remember those 12 scouts that he sent into the land of milk and honey to scout out ahead of time and bring back information, and then 10 of them came back and said, whoa, we can't do this. These dudes are huge. They're enormous people. They're heavily fortified. They're like crazy, crazy tough. And then 2, Caleb and Joshua said, yeah, we can do it. We can do it. Well, the description of the cities of Canaan as fortified to the heavens that they gave, that came from the spies who were afraid to trust God. Remember that? And they were afraid to trust that God was going to give them victory. And therefore they exaggerated the difficulties that were involved because it was doable. Caleb and Joshua were right. And of course, next surprisingly, after they were punished for this, the people thought that disobeying God again would make it all better. So they decided that they were going to do another act of disobedience to correct the first by this little group going in and just attacking them. And of course they got slaughtered because God said, no, do it. I'm punishing you now. Don't attack now. You're not going to get to go in for a while. They did it anyway and got slaughtered. So there they were. Then we get into chapter 2. And this is the journey past Seir. Now right off the bat it says, then we turned back and headed for the wilderness by way of the Red Sea. Now remember when we talked about Moses parting the Red Sea? That was a different sea that they were talking about. The Red Sea that's mentioned here is not that same body of water at the Gulf of Suez that was crossed by Israel during the Exodus, but this was another arm of the sea between the Sinai Peninsula and Arabia. So let's not get those two different bodies of water confused, even though they call them the same thing. It's a different area of the same body of water. Then we talk about the journey past Moab The journey past Ammon and the defeat of Sihon the Amorites. And that finishes us off, I believe, at the end of chapter 2, of course. So, tomorrow, we're going to be diving into Deuteronomy chapter 3 and chapter 4, I believe is our numbers. Yeah, Deuteronomy chapter 3 and 4 tomorrow for another episode of the Bible in 1 year with the preacher's husband. If I missed anything, if there's anything you want to talk about and review in the comment section, or was anything printed differently in this review as you remembered it when you originally read the first writings in the books? If something did stick out that looked different to you, put it in the comment section. Let's talk about it. Let's see, maybe we can come up with a reason why it may have been different. Maybe the perspective has changed. So, tomorrow, Deuteronomy 3 and 4. Hit that like button, that subscribe button, and of course, click the little jingle bell so you can get notified the next time I upload a video. And if it's touched you, share it. I hope to see you tomorrow. Peace.